Hello and welcome to tonight's beer review. It's pretty late in the evening and I'm going to dub this a fussy chicken beer review because my chickens were pretty goddamn fussy today, and eventually I just had to go and lock the babies up because they refused to go into the baby house to sleep and were just standing by the door peeping up a storm, even though I was trying to record a review, even though I had fed them like twice in the past hour before I put them out, so whatevers. So anyways, I haven't recorded a review in a very long time, at least 2 or 3 months, and the reason for that is, one, I've been ill, I caught the flu, and then I had an infection following up the flu, so I was on antibiotics for 2 weeks after the week that I had the flu. The other thing is, well, I've just been revisiting a lot of beers that I enjoy drinking, and the reason for that is I just wanted to go and drink some beers that I didn't have to think about, that I know I enjoy, and that were available at the time. And so I've been just enjoying doing that. And I didn't finish uploading the reviews. I promised I was going to upload before. And the reason for that is, I really don't know what my reason is. I just stopped and I never got back to it. Go figure. Same reason I haven't gone and written a book review, even though I am backlogged on that as well. So, what are we reviewing today? Well, recently, somebody actually cited one of my previous reviews, and thank you for that. Life is beautiful. So I decided, well, maybe it's time to start recording again. Maybe it's time to start putting myself out there again. And so I decided to go and start with a brewery that has deep sentimental significance to me, and also brews my favorite beer in the world, Anchor Steam. That is, of course, Anchor Brewing. And as you know, as everyone knows, they've recently been bought out by a Japanese macro brewer and changed management completely, spun off their distillery, and to be honest, have been kind of flailing a little bit in regards to business in the fast-changing world of craft beer. And for years, they relied on being the oldest, being craft beer before craft beer even existed. When Fritz Maytag bought out the brewery in the late 60s and sort of revamped it, and also helped steward the earliest generations of homebrewers and craft brewers in the early to mid 70s. But since then, since the early 2000s, they've been kind of struggling to find their identity. I was always perfectly happy with them being kind of fusty, them having these wonderful standards that have just been around for decades, but money talks, and they haven't kept pace in regards to sales, and there's more and more competition. And so they've been just trying out new things desperately, trying to see what throwing things against the wall of what's fashionable and seeing what sticks. And one of them is this, the FranPsycho IPA. And as you can see in a can, and not very much in the style of the old Anchor Brewing labels. Now, this is a juicy India Pale Ale. It is an ale brewed with peach and apricot. And so, the juicy, hazy Pale Ale. 6.3 ABV, by the way. So, they don't have this story on the label, but they have it on the box here. So, let's read that, shall we? Anchor Brewing and San Francisco culture are synonymous, and we love blending our passion for beer with our passion for community. For this California-inspired collaboration brew, we found an amazing partner in FranPsycho, a vibrant local company that shares our enthusiasm for supporting and celebrating community. The result is a deliciously balanced, easy-drinking beer which finishes with floral hops and big juicy notes of peach and apricot. The perfect sessionable summertime IPA, FranPsycho IPA, is truly an original, just like San Francisco itself. Together, let's crack open a can and savor the city. Something of an irony there, as San Francisco's difficulty with gentrification kind of reaches its new heights, so too is this brewery kind of trying to hold on to the status that it had in the past. And I'm not knocking it. Like I said, it still makes my favorite beer. It's just, I don't know, a hazy IPA with fruit in it. Well, let's get to it, shall we? This has been sitting out for a while, so expect a big head because I've been having to deal with my chickens a bit. As you can see, pour this out as gently as possible. So, this is a hazy, golden orange, semi-opalescent, with a thick, fluffy white head. Juiciness, and as it says on the label, peach and apricot. Some dankness, but not too much. And also slight elements of floralness as well. Malt underneath is on the biscuity side. And slight hints of ozone to boot. Well, let's get to sipping this, shall we? Taste on the palate is a lot drier than the nose. The nose smells pretty sweet. It's actually pretty dry on the palate. Sort of tannic hop bitterness from start to finish that slowly clears the palate in the long finish, with the interesting hints of stone fruit being somewhat effervescent up in the nose in the long finish. Usually it's the other way around, I find. Grapefruit and zest that peaks in the mid to finish. Slightly tannic aspect to the long finish. Resiny. Despite the biscuitiness of the nose, the malts come across as crackery and just a little bit thin. I would have oomphed the sugars up on this just a wee bit. Drink's a little bit lighter than the 6.3 ABV. Which I attribute to the to it being on the drier side. All in all, a pretty decent IPA. Fits the, I guess that's why they're calling it juicy rather than hazy, because it is definitely juicy, but it is not sweet. That's for sure. It's definitely on the drier side of juicy IPAs, juicy hazy IPAs. I would venture that that's because of a high amount of alpha oils. It really does coat the tongue. I think that there's actually a bit of sugar in there that the lupulin is sort of covering up at the moment. I wouldn't say this is unbalanced, considering how wide the style is. It's just a bit too much for my tastes. That said, it is pretty nice to have a juicy IPA that doesn't taste like somebody left their grapefruit or orange juice out and put some beer in it. You know what I mean? That said, again, nothing really overly exciting here. It's not bad by any means, but it's not pushing any boundaries. It's drinkable, but it's not wow. And what more can I say other than, you know, I really hope that the new brewer and the people running Anchor Brewing kind of find their niche in the very difficult brewing world of independent and craft brewers in, you know, Northern California, which is, I mean, only the Pacific Northwest probably has more, you know, craft brewers and microbrewers, but I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know much about the brewing business, but I just think that they should have really stuck to, you know, the standards and just kind of updated it a bit, you know. Just really gone all in on traditional stuff and just trying to dig up maybe old traditional recipes, old traditional styles, rather than chasing the trends that every craft brewer from coast to coast is sort of chasing, and kind of being a little bit late to the ball game on that. So, FranPsycho IPA from Anchor Brewing. Well made, bit on the drier side for the style. Nothing too exciting, nothing to blow your mind. Again, I'm just being kind of difficult because this is a brewery that I love and I want to succeed, and I don't want them, you know, being on the back of the pack of trend chasers in regards to beer. So, that's your beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.